Welcome to Raise the Anchor with host Melissa Burbridge. In this podcast, I will share the stories of individuals who have made major life-changing decisions. The purpose of this podcast is to tell their stories and inspire change within. Stick around and share their journey with me. So today on the podcast, we are doing something a little different again. We are talking with a survivor of a stroke, so this could be a little emotional. Just giving you the forewarnings. Her name is Marcia Moran. Welcome to the podcast, Marcia.
Thank you, Melissa.
So what was life like before your stroke?
It was actually pretty simple. I had my own business, which I started in 2012, and it was to keep people people often needed to pivot around what they were actually doing. So I would go in and look at what they were doing and say, oh, you need to be this way. So it was kind of strategy and marketing at the same time. I was on track to actually make revenue more than I'd make as an employee. So that was pretty nice. On weekends, we would go up to Deep Creek Lake, and I would go kayaking, and my husband would sit at home and read. So we actually liked that.
Oh, nice. So how has having a stroke changed that?
Well, we still like to go to the lake, and I still go out kayaking, believe it or not. And the first 4 years after my stroke, I was not kayaking well. But last year, my husband said, this is the first time I've seen you get into your kayak and not look like you've had a stroke. So better, I think.
No, that's great. So you were an entrepreneur before you had the stroke. Are you still an entrepreneur, or are you mostly doing the advocating for?
Yes, I am an entrepreneur. I actually thought I'd get a job before I went into entrepreneurship. I found that I had aphasia, which is a speaking disorder. And because of the aphasia, when the phone rang, I picked it up and I talked to people. Well, I actually didn't talk.
Yeah.
They'd ask me the questions and I'd have the answer in my mind, but I wouldn't be able to speak it. So I figured that the only option for me was to work for myself. So I wrote a book, and my whole life is about promoting it so that people understand that you can get as well as you think you can.
No, and I love that we're about to share your story. I wanted to get the nice, easy stuff out before we really dive in.
Okay.
So, can you tell us about the day you had your stroke?
Unfortunately, I can.
Yeah.
So it was Sunday morning when I woke up, and my husband was already downstairs watching TV. And I noticed that I felt kind of weird. So I picked up my phone and I texted Rochelle, and I told her I wouldn't make breakfast that day. And I couldn't read the text. And I thought, well, that looks really weird. Well, I'll worry about that later. So I put the phone down, I rolled over, and I got the worst headache imaginable. And despite the pain, I fell asleep. When I woke up the second time, I knew I was in real trouble because my right side was paralyzed. And so I heard my husband downstairs. He was playing the TV. I could hear that. So I rolled out of bed and I dragged myself across the carpet using my left-hand side. And the door was closed. So when I got there, I reached up for it, and I can't tell you how many times. Oh. But I finally snuck it open. And I took a much-needed pause because I was so tired.
Well, you're so inspiring, just having the nursing background and working on the stroke floor. For you listeners who are unaware of that, just the fact that you even got out of bed is amazing. to pull yourself to there?
Well, I fell out of bed, really.
Yeah.
You know. So I thought that the only way I would find help immediately is if I made myself available to my husband, right?
Yeah.
So after I rested by the door, I dragged myself down the hall, again using my left hand,
Yeah.
until I ran out of gas.
Oh.
I mean, completely ran out of gas. I went, well, he'll come up sometime, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what fell, but something went crash. And my husband came up and he said, Marcia, are you okay? And that's the time I realized I couldn't speak.
Oh, God.
So,
Oh.
yeah, I know. It's great. It's amazing. So he said, can you talk to me? Nothing. So he
Yeah.
said, I'm calling 911, and I'm nodding your head, yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So the paramedics arrived promptly.
Mm-hmm.
So the first words out of one of their mouths was, when did she have the stroke? And that's the first time neither one of us had even thought of the word stroke. And my husband was devastated. And I think that I didn't even comprehend. I mean, I knew the word, but I was so far gone that I didn't really think about it. And I actually lost consciousness in the ambulance on the way to the hospital.
Oh, wow. So your stroke could have still been going on as well.
Oh, it was. It was
Yeah.
still going on.
So there are two different types of strokes, ischemic and hemorrhagic. Which kind do you have?
So I had an ischemic stroke. And specifically, I had a carotid artery dissection, which is actually only 1% to 2% of people have it. So in ischemic strokes, you have a blood clot in your brain, or I'm sorry, that gets loose in your body and travels up to your brain. And 87% of people have it. Now, the hemorrhagic stroke, the other 13% of people have that, and it is when you have a brain bleed.
Yeah. Thank you for clearing up the difference, because a lot of people don't realize that there is the difference. Now, there are also other parts to this that people won't understand as to why you're saying your left side
Right.
and the right side. So can you explain to our listeners what the difference that could actually have on what detriments you get from a stroke?
Yes. So my stroke was on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And that means that the right side of my body was paralyzed. If you have a stroke that is on your right side, then the left side of your body is paralyzed. So, for example, if I had had a right-sided stroke, I may have trouble seeing. But I had something different. So I had aphasia, which for me, it was because the stroke was in a Broca's area.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say that nobody wants to have a stroke.
No, nobody wants to have a stroke at all.
No.
There's so many different things that could happen with the stroke, but the aphasia, the ataxia, it's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no stroke is similar.
No.
Yeah.
No. And everybody, has different attributes that can happen. They can have their creative side just taken away from them, depending on it. It's often when I worked in the community, a lot of people, I would look at their pupils and I would see that they're dilated and they're like, oh, it's that side of stroke. Why is this side? I'm like, no, because the bleed is on the opposite side that's frozen. So you have to look at that. Even some paramedics, which used to surprise me, were like, well, we got to treat this side more careful. I'm like, no, treat that side more careful. It's like, you should know what a stroke is.
Yeah. Well, the paramedics that came to my house did, and I'm so grateful for them.
Yeah. I think sometimes in the small communities, they don't see it that much.
Yeah.
So they forget what it's like. So what detriments other than the aphasia did you get?
So at first, I didn't have my choking centers. So they had me swallow liquid from the front. I had to turn my head to the left, swallow, and then I had to turn my head forward again. And the reason for that is because they were afraid that I would swallow and it would go down the wrong pipe and I would wind up with pneumonia,
Yeah.
which is pretty bad.
Yes, it would be.
So I had that, my speaking disorder. I had no movement really on my left hand or my right hand side, so I had to get all that back. It was, I thought it was bad. Wasn't bad if you think about all the people that have strokes that come back and they're severely dishandicapped or moderately handicapped. At least I was in the not so bad phase.
Yeah, you look great. For the listeners who can't see her, she's moving both of her arms. She's
Yay!
speaking, which is great. It's so nice to see, because you're so right. Some people end up in a wheelchair forever.
Yeah.
Or they can't speak forever, or they're on a tube feed forever.
Yeah.
Or they don't even make it at all.
Yeah.
How long were you paralyzed for?
So the paralysis started going away the first evening in the hospital.
Oh, nice.
Yes. I was in a wheelchair when we left.
Yeah.
I was in a wheelchair in the rehab hospital. I could actually use a cane when I left the rehab hospital, but so I had 4 speech pathologists, 5 physical therapists, and 2 occupational therapists. And the reason I had 5 physical therapists is that I had 4 through the end of my insurance, and I had a 5th because I couldn't walk well, and she worked with me for a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So it took a long, long time to, I'm going to say walk normally, but I'm still not walking normally now because I still feel my right foot cramps every day.
Yeah.
All day. Mm-hmm. And my right leg isn't quite in sync with my left leg. Yeah. So people can't really see it, but I feel it. And when I run, it's not a pretty sight.
You're still running, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great. So how long were you in the hospital for?
I was in the hospital for 4 days, and I was in the rehab hospital for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And what was the scariest part for your family?
That I would die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they immediately realize the severity?
No. No. So I was actually on liquids, and the hospital made a real meal for me and brought it up to my room, and I started eating it, and I choked, of course. Mm. And that's the point when my husband realized that this was serious. And he actually called my sister and asked her and her husband if they could come to Virginia.
Yeah.
And they did. Now, it was in April when he called, and she is a CPA.
Yeah.
And she said, no problem.
So, oh, wow.
she put people on extensions, and she came.
Yeah. No, that's truly a blessing. You do definitely need a whole team to get to heal. So what was your scariest part? I know they're probably more scared of you dying. What was your biggest fear?
So I have two really.
Mm-hmm.
One was on the first day when I was trying to get to help and I couldn't make it anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, as I said. And the second was when I was in the hospital and I couldn't move much, I couldn't speak much, and I was thinking about how long it would take to get better. So I thought, you're going to laugh, I thought I would be running a 5K by my first anniversary.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I guess that's reasonable to set your goals as you're going. But yeah, working in the healthcare, usually I am so excited to hear that you're running because I've seen so many cases that they're like, I'm going to be running. And they're still not running 10, 20 years later.
Yeah.
But I also see on the family side that the loved ones expect, okay, she's released from the hospital. She's going to be 100% normal. She's going to be running that marathon in a week or two.
Yeah, right. so, so I have not run a 5K. Oops.
No, but did your husband have those expectations? Yes, he saw what it was like in the hospital and he knew things were going to be a little bit different, but did he expect you to heal a lot faster than you did?
No, he didn't.
No, that's
So,
good.
yeah, he took things just like I did, which was day by day. So when I came home and I would get up, brush my teeth, and go to bed.
Yeah.
I'd get up later, take a shower, go to bed. I would get up, do my exercises, and go to bed, and that was my day.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And you didn't push yourself to go back to work early.
Well, I was working for myself before the stroke, so
Yeah.
my business died the day I had the stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever plan on getting that back, or do you want to keep educating people on strokes?
I want to keep educating people on stroke because there's not enough.
No, and you're so right. That's why I'm so happy to have you on here today.
Well,
So we
thank
can
you.
spread the word because you're right. Not too many people know. I know I'm not young, but it's a common thing as my husband and I age together with our children that one day it could possibly happen to us.
It could.
So what do you do to prevent it from happening to you again?
Well, I think that I can't prevent it from happening to me, but I can try to get better.
Yeah.
So I eat healthfully. I try to exercise. So I will tell you that I've been very bad about exercising for the past month because of the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck at home. And I would say I go outside and walk or run, but it's been over 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So I haven't worked out that much. But I typically would work out for 30 minutes a day, whether it's walking or running or doing exercises or whatever, because I think it's really important for people to stay healthy.
So did you have any signs? I know the morning you had the headache, but do you have signs days before anything happened?
No, I didn't. No.
So what common signs would you suggest for people to start reaching out for help?
Well, okay. So diet is a big factor.
Yeah.
And most people eat badly.
Yes.
So I would think about all the things that you're eating and think if it's really the right way for you to eat.
Yeah.
If you have heart disease, you have a better chance of having a stroke.
Yes.
So again, diet will help you. Do you have high cholesterol? Do you smoke? Do you drink too much? I mean, you have to think about all those things. And if you are drinking and smoking, you have to stop.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. So because we're in COVID, what are your biggest fears?
Well, again, I guess I have to say that the biggest fear is when I go outside and go grocery shopping and someone isn't wearing a mask.
Yeah.
It's like, I really wish you would.
Yeah.
But we go to the grocery store, the post office, the lake house, and that's it. You know?
Yes, because for our listeners, a lot of them are Canadian. Well, actually, they're all over the world, but you're in the U.S.
Yes.
And you're in Virginia State.
Yes.
So what is it like there? Because here in Nova Scotia, where I'm at, masks are mandated. Like you have to wear your mask when you go into the stores, or else you're not allowed to go into that store.
Yeah. Well, most of people are good about wearing their masks, but there are some people that don't. And yeah, I really don't like it.
Yeah. So they're not mandated in your state.
No.
I'm taking. Yeah, that's a hard one. And I get it from both sides, the uncomfortable of wearing a mask. But from my point of view, you're saving so many lives when you do.
Right.
You may not have it, or you may not know you have it. So you're saving a life. You're saving your own life by wearing one as well, in my personal opinion. But that's just me. That's the nursing background. You wouldn't let a doctor operate on you without a mask on.
I would hope not.
Exactly. And if they are, why? Why are they operating?
Right.
So you do advocate a lot. So what is it that you do to advocate for strokes? Do you give people education? Do you do classrooms? Do you do talks? What is it that you do to help advocate?
So I began speaking this year in front of people, and I'd done 2 speeches, and then we were said, oh, you have to stay at home now.
Yeah.
So I've actually begun to speak doing Zoom. Yay.
I know, it's good.
So I'm speaking to stroke groups for the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm at least letting them know that there is hope, because when you've just had a stroke and you're laying in the hospital room, or you've just come home from the hospital, you have no idea. You think that you're always going to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not broken anymore.
Yeah, no, you're doing great.
And I want people to know that. And I also want people to know that if you're a caregiver, you can have hope too. So if you're a caregiver, please sleep a lot, because you're going to need it for the long haul. Yeah. And there are people out there all around the world who will help you if you know where to look. So I know of stroke groups that are meeting online. I know Facebook groups. So those are all really important places to go.
And for both parties, have patience. Have patient as a patient and have patient as a caregiver.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a long haul, and it is a stressful, I can't even say, it's a stressful, draining, both physically and mental, as you heal.
Yeah.
You're doing great, though.
Well, thank you.
I'm so excited to watch you move your arm so much. So what can people do to educate themselves on strokes?
Well, the first thing people can do is read about it. They can go to the TED Talks and look at strokes, because there are a few TED Talks that are really explicit or implicit. A lot of TED Talks who really know what they're talking about. They can look up holistic doctors, because these people are the ones who look at the whole body. And it was actually a holistic doctor who suggested that I try neurofeedback for my aphasia.
Yeah.
And I'd been aphasic for 3.5 years. And I went home and looked it up just to see that it would not hurt me.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't hurt me. And in that, I saw that 85% of traumatic brain injury survivors actually got better from the neurofeedback. And I'm going, okay, I have to at least try it. I tried it the first day, and when I left, I could speak better.
Oh my. That
Yeah.
must have been like such a big celebrating moment. Like, yay!
Woohoo! Exactly. So after 16 sessions, I speak about like I speak now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was your husband at that appointment with you?
No, he wasn't.
So was he surprised when you were like, oh, I can talk now?
He was grateful. Although sometimes I think my husband would like that I talk less.
I know they can hope that you talk and then they're like, oh, maybe just be quiet for a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know my husband's like that all the time. When I'm quiet, he's actually like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, nothing. I'm just working. But then when I'm chatty, he's like, oh, you have something big going on. Can we just be quiet for a little bit? Which one do you want?
I know. That's okay. That's how it is.
So how can people help with your journey? Like, how can they help you get the word out more?
Well, I would like to be on more podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I would like them to be advocates.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just it. I'd really like them to be advocates.
How can they follow your particular journey? Is there anywhere, do you have a website or a Facebook that you'd like people to follow?
Yes. So my website is strokeforward.com. And they can follow me on Facebook by going to Stroke Forward.
Nice.
I'm on Twitter at stroke_forward.
Nice.
And I'm on Facebook at Marcia Moran.
So is there any advice you can give to somebody who, you've already touched to the person just having a stroke, who's maybe halfway through, they're thinking that this is taking too long to recover from? Any inspiration you can give them that it's worth it?
Yeah, never give up.
Never give up.
Okay, so it doesn't matter how long you've been trying at things. If you try and try and try again every single day, eventually you will see progress. And it may take a while, but if you never give up, eventually you'll do something better, whether it's walking. So there have been people who've been in their wheelchair for, I think, 5 years or more.
Yeah.
Who stood up finally and started walking, which is amazing.
It is. And the tears would just flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be so inspirational. Was there a part in your particular recovery that you wanted to give up? Or were you just so determined to do that?
No.
Running?
Yes, I was. I don't know what is in me, but I never looked back. It was always looking forward. And I had bad days.
Yeah.
But I still exercised on those bad days.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we wish you all the best. Who inspires you to keep going? Who inspires you to advocate where you could have just had the stroke, got healed, and then gone back and started your own business? Who inspires you to give this message? It's a wonderful gift you're giving to people who don't realize that it is such a wonderful gift. You're advocating, you're sharing, you're helping.
So I think, okay, so my answer on one side is my sister, because she is older, wiser. She's been the hero I've had all my life. On the other hand, it's society as a whole, because they don't seem to understand what stroke is.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, so almost 800,000 people a year have stroke in America.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's so important that people understand what it is, because that number is not going down.
No, I totally agree. It's the 5th leading cause of death in North America is a stroke.
Yeah.
So I agree. People need to know what it is. We're so worried about, and I know during the pandemic, you're reading the news all the time that people with strokes, with heart attacks, aren't going to the hospitals because they're too scared to go and
Please
get COVID. Go.
Please go. Because a stroke will not get better.
No, it will not.
You have to have help. And the sooner you have help, the sooner you'll get better. I mean, you lose 1.9 million cells in your brain for every minute that you are having a stroke.
Yeah, the sooner you get to the hospital, the less healing time you'll also have.
Right.
Because if they get to it faster, and I know with certain strokes, you have 90 minutes from the time that stroke hits you to get a specific injection to stop that stroke, or else you're permanently damaged.
Right.
Which is so terrifying when you think, okay, listening to your story, I was like, okay, you laid in bed for a long time. You had to sleep, you crawled. It took a while. So say that took 60 minutes. And then it took the paramedics another 20 minutes to get to you. And then it took how long to get to the hospital? You could have been well over that 90 minutes.
Oh, well, I was, because I had my stroke in my sleep and there was no way of knowing when. So they asked me, I said, I don't know. They said, sorry.
Yeah. So it just blows your mind. Luckily, even though it was past that 90 minutes, you're recovering, you're healing, you're running. I'm not even running. You're running. What's my issue? I think I have to learn something from you. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Melissa.
I definitely look forward to following you more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Raise the Anchor. And subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss the next episode. Don't forget to rate this episode as well. I'm Melissa Burbridge, wishing you smooth sailing.